Life is my death. Death is my life. A Deeper Reflection on Mansur al-Hallāj by Gracie Green. There are some words you don't just read. You feel them press against your soul. Mansur al-Hallāj's poem. Kill me, my faithful friends, is not something I simply studied. It's something I sat with, something I wrestled with, something that quietly unraveled parts of me I didn't even realize I was still holding onto. This poem is not about death in the way most people understand it. It's about something far more unsettling and far more freeing. Kill me, friends, for in my killing is my life. My death is in my life. My life is in my death. Annihilation of my essence is the noblest of my glories, and my attributes remaining are the foulest of my crimes. My spirit tires of my life amid its lingering traces. So kill me, burn me in these fading bones, and later pass my dust in ruined tombs. You will find my lover's secret folded into my remains. I was a mighty patriarch of lofty rank. Then I became a child in wet nurses' chambers, living in a grave's niche in marshy grounds. My mother bore her father. That's one of my marvels. Then my daughters, after they were daughters, were my sisters. This was no deed of time nor act of adultery, so gather all my parts together from burning bodies, from air and fire, and next from water pure. Then plant it all in earth whose soil is fallow, and swear to water it from cups passed round, by running waitresses with running waters. When you finish, the best of plants will bloom. When I first read this, I paused, not because it sounded morbid, but because it sounded true in a way I couldn't immediately explain. This isn't a cry for physical death. It's a plea for the destruction of the ego, the false self we spend our lives protecting. And if I'm honest, that hit me hard. Because so much of who we think we are is built on survival, on pain, on labels, on identity. And yet here is Hallāj asking for all of it to be stripped away, to be killed so that he can finally live. My death is in my life is in my death. This paradox is the heartbeat of the entire poem. And the more I sat with it, the more I realized how deeply it mirrors my own journey. There was a version of me that lived but wasn't alive, a version shaped by religion, fear, identity, and even hatred. As a military veteran, I once carried a real hatred toward Muslims. That's hard to admit. But it's the truth. And yet somehow, through a series of awakenings I can't fully explain, I found Islam. But even then, I didn't fit neatly into the box. Raised Roman Catholic, reverted to Islam, still standing somewhere outside any sect, questioning, reflecting, seeking. So when Hallāj speaks of life within death and death within life, I understand that because parts of me had to die for me to see truth. And even now, parts of me are still dying. Annihilation of my essence is the noblest of my glories, and my attributes remaining is the foulest of my crimes. This one stayed with me. My attributes remaining, he's talking about the ego, the pride, the attachments, the identity we cling to, everything we think defines us, and he calls it a crime, not a flaw, not a weakness, a crime. Because in Sufi thought, the ego is what separates us from God. And I had to sit with that deeply. What parts of me am I still holding on to? What identities, wounds, or beliefs am I still protecting? Because if I'm honest, those remnants, the pride, the attachments, the need to belong somewhere, they do get in the way. And maybe that's what Hallāj is saying, that the greatest barrier between us and truth is ourselves. My spirit tires of my life amid its lingering traces. There's an exhaustion here that I recognize, a spiritual fatigue, not from living, but from carrying what no longer belongs to you. Trauma, old beliefs, versions of yourself that you've outgrown but haven't fully released. This line feels like someone who is ready ready to let go of everything that weighs the soul down. And I've been there. I'm still there in many ways, that quiet place where you realize you can't keep being who you used to be. So kill me, burn me in these fading bones. Fire. Not destruction for the sake of destruction, but purification. This reminds me of something deeper, something almost scientific and spiritual at the same time. Transformation requires breakdown. Whether it's the body, the mind, or the ego, nothing becomes new without first being undone. And this connects so deeply to what I'm working on now. My thesis on ego dissolution and trauma awakening. Because healing isn't gentle the way people think it is. It burns, it strips, it exposes, but it also frees. You will find my lover's secret folded into my remains. This line feels sacred. The lover here God, and the secret something that can't be taught, only experienced. It's hidden beneath everything we think we are, and the only way to uncover it is to let go of all the layers covering it. That's what this entire poem feels like to me, a peeling back of the self until only truth remains. I was a mighty patriarch of lofty rank. Then I became a child. This reversal of identity is powerful, from status to vulnerability, from power to dependence. And I can't help but reflect on my own shifts, from certainty to questioning, from judgment to understanding, from thinking I knew truth to realizing I was just beginning to see it. My mother bore her father. My daughters became my sisters. At first, this sounds confusing, almost impossible. But that's the point. This is what happens when you step outside linear thinking. When identity dissolves, roles dissolve with it. Everything returns to a kind of unity where distinctions no longer hold the same meaning. And in a strange way, it reflects something deeply spiritual, that we are all connected, that everything returns to the same source. Then plant it all in earth whose soil is fallow. When you finish, the best of plants will bloom. Tea is where the poem softens. After all the destruction comes growth. After all the burning comes life. And this is what I hold on to. Because the process of ego death, of trauma awakening, of spiritual transformation, it's not meaningless, it's planting, it's preparation. It's making space for something real to grow. And when I think about al-Hallāj himself, it becomes even heavier. He was martyred for his beliefs, for speaking a truth that others couldn't understand, and that stays with me. Because I know what it feels like to not fit inside religious structures, to walk a path that doesn't fully belong anywhere. Even in Islam, I don't fit the mold they try to place me in, but I've come to accept that, because like al-Hallāj, I cannot bend what I believe to make others comfortable, and even deeper than that. I carry a history of that same resistance. My ancestor, Mercy Disbrow, was persecuted as a witch, a woman who stood outside what society accepted, and paid the price for it. And I think about that lineage, that thread of people who refused to conform, who chose truth, whatever that meant to them, over acceptance. And I realize I come from that, and I carry that. So when I read this poem, I don't just see words, I see a mirror, a reflection of the struggle to let go of the self, to stand in truth, to accept the cost of it, and to trust that in losing everything we think we are, we might finally become something real. And maybe that's the quiet truth al-Hallāj was trying to show us. That what feels like death might actually be the beginning of life.